Hey, fellow superhero cinephiles. Did you know that almost 30% of adults say they haven't read a book in the past year? The primary reason why is a lack of time. Well, Audible's here to help with the gift of found time. Thanks to Audible, you can listen to audiobooks like Marvel Comics, The Untold Story, or Slugfest, inside the epic 50-year battle between Marvel and DC. Read up on the history of superheroes in comics and movies with Grant Morrison's Super Gods. You can also check out Vanguard, my original superhero novel series, or try The Vril Agenda or The Adventures of Fortune McCall, both of which were written by our dearly departed host emeritus, Derek Ferguson. Whatever you're looking for, Audible has thousands of titles that you can consume while commuting, exercising, cooking, or just relaxing at home. And not only audiobooks, an Audible membership also gives you access to tons of content like podcasts, theatrical performances, and exclusive Audible originals that you won't find anywhere else. To give you a taste of what you can get, Audible has partnered with this show to provide listeners with a free 30-day trial. All you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/supercinemapod, and with your free trial, you get one free audiobook and 2 free Audible originals. In fact, you get to keep those titles even if you cancel before the trial is over. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to audibletrial.com/supercinemapod and start your free trial today.
I don't know about this. I mean, we don't have a fake ID.
Freddy, would you relax? Look at me. I am the fake ID.
Everything from the register. Go, go! Now! Come on! We don't have any time. Let's go! Move! We want it all! Hurry!
This is your chance.
Oh,
Come on! Let's do this!
Gentlemen, why use guns when we can handle this like real men?
Benny, look out!
Bullet immunity. You have bullet immunity!
I'm bulletproof.
Today is December 8th, and this is video proof of authenticity. Shoot him again.
Oh, yeah. Here. Go, both of you. Come on, go to town.
Wait. We still don't know if the suit is bulletproof or if you are. Shoot him in the face.
Shoot me in the face. In the face? It kind of tickles. You're dead. Sorry about your window.
Have a good night.
You're welcome for not getting robbed. Hey, it's a fighting bad guys.
Yeah.
That tastes like actual vomit.
You know, having your jerky, if you eat enough of it, it can burn a hole in your stomach.
Worth that.
Yeah, probably not you though. You probably got stomach superpowers.
Probably. Oh, hey, what's up? I'm a superhero.
Yeah, his name is Captain Sparkle Fingers.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That's not my name. Hey, we should hang out. We're like the same age. Oh, okay. I'm out.
Hey, wait up!
Welcome to the Superhero Cinephiles podcast. I'm your host, Perry Constantine. Welcoming back old friend of mine and returning guest and, former host on the precursor to this show. And that's John Bracich. Johnny, how you doing today?
Oh, not too shabby there, Perry. Not too shabby there. How are you, good sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Few things that I wanted to talk about before we jump into today's movie.
Okay.
So apparently bisexual Superman's son is destroying America. Have you heard about this?
Oh my God, yes. What is it with some people? They had the same problem with Captain Marvel,
Mm-hmm.
and some other superheroes. I remember back when it was, what was that mutant who very fast? He was in the Avengers. Oh God, it's at the tip of my head. He got white hair.
Oh,
God.
Quicksilver?
Quicksilver. I remember when he came out of the closet.
No, you're thinking of North Star.
North Star. Oh god, that's right from Alpha Flight.
Yeah.
Holy crap, there goes my credentials. But anyways, yeah, I remember when he came out, like, oh my god, you would think it was the end of Western civilization.
And the
Yeah.
irony is that a lot of the people complaining about John Kent now being bisexual are saying that, well, North Star was the way to do it right. It's like, you guys complain about North Star when that happened.
Let me tell you something. These people don't get immediately say, oh, you're trying to shove it down our throats.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's an agenda or some other fucking thing.
Yeah.
The fact is, at the end of the day, they don't think those folks are legitimate. Okay, never mind the fact that this is a fictional character.
Yeah.
That he's not gonna come and make your kids gay or come over or whatever. The fact is, these people exist.
Yeah. Well, the thing that kills me is they say like, oh, they're complaining about sexualizing superheroes. I'm like, they've always been sexualized. What the hell do you think having a love interest means?
Sexualized. That's their beef.
Yeah.
Have you not seen how they make Wonder Woman? We've been sexualizing superheroes since the 30s.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is nothing new. We've had romantic interests.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, sinuses here. We've had romantic interests going, like when Batman falling in love with Catwoman. Nobody said shit about that.
Right.
How? Never mind that. Forget about that. What about Clark Kent and Lois Lane?
Yeah. Yeah.
I could point to comics from the 40s where they went on a date holding hands, or Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. Holy shit. That's the one I got killed by Green Goblin, right?
Yeah.
Goblin Green John. Fucking watching Spanish. House of School, not Schoolhouse. Anyway.
That's ridiculous. But I just want to quickly chime in on that.
There's no controversy here. Number one, what do you think is more fantastic to the critic? I mean, if you're a critic of this, what do you think is more realistic here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The fact that he's bisexual, or the fact that he's got superpowers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I won't worry about it.
The thing that kills me is they say they're acting like, because this is John Kent, right? Who the new Superman, who son of Clark and Lois, and he was introduced, about 5 years ago, right? And so they're complaining, well, you're changing an established character. He was a kid for like up until a year ago, and his sexuality has never been explored at all.
Wait, backtrack for me something. Is this Superboy?
He was the
which one I'm talking about.
I guess technically the third Superboy. Because
right, I thought he was Superboy.
Well, he was, but recently DC has done what's called Future Slate, where they've like introduced like new versions of characters. So he had gone into space at the beginning of Brian Bendis's run, which I think was like a year ago, 2 years ago. And at that point, and then he came back, and when he came back, he was a teenager. So now he's about like, I think 19, 20, and they've kind of jumped his age to that. And so, yeah, he's like 19, 20 years old. And now he's taking over. I haven't read these books yet. I only do the trade. So I only know what I've seen like in previews and stuff here and there. But I believe that what happened is Superman, Clark Kent, has gone off into space, and he left John to take over the mantle of Superman on Earth.
Well, again, I know they made a big deal, and yes, you could see the comics industry sometimes could go off board. There was a couple of superheroes that Marvel came up with that completely bombed.
Mm-hmm.
Like these, you know who I'm talking about, right? They came
I'm
up
not
with
sure. No.
woke superhero. I mean, literally, there was one whose only power was that they were transgendered or something. That was their power.
Uh-huh.
There was no, that wasn't their power. Well, anyways, Marvel had come up with something that completely bombed because you could tell that they were pandering.
Mm-hmm.
This is not pandering.
Yeah.
There are bisexual people out there.
Yeah.
This is natural. This is, you ask anybody, going back to even our generation, we grew up with these folks.
Yeah.
The people in their 20s and their 30s grew up, no friends, they may be one.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing that gets me about so many people is they're saying that it's not logical or it doesn't make sense. I'm like, have you ever met someone who's queer? Like they're always. That's what the whole journey of self-discovery. That's what coming out means.
They're everywhere. My neighbors. I live in Central Arizona, folks. Okay, I live in the one county in Arizona that went super Trump. I mean, it's right wing, it's right wing, and I've got two wonderful people that live across the street from me, and one's the town pharmacist. Okay, so don't tell me like they're like only city people, or I mean that they're only like in the far corners of some distant neighborhood in San Francisco. They're your neighbors or your friends or your family. Okay, and again, the average comic book reader of a certain age right now, younger age, to them this is what's the deal.
Yeah, exactly.
You know who this is pissing off. You know who this pisses off? The baby boomer.
Yeah.
Because they got it. Not all baby boomers. I'm not saying all, but let's be honest.
Well, I mean, one of your politicians, Wendy Rogers, I think it was.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I could tell you stories about.
She had an interesting response when she was freaking out about this. When she said Superman loves Lois Lane.
Who fucking cares? This is the same woman who represents a part of the Arizona state that was for the Union, but she's for the Confederacy. She's openly. Yeah. This is a woman. I could tell you something about Wendy Rogers that'll blow your mind. It's just that don't be surprised. Again, at the end of the day, the people who are most critical of this are people who just do not think such people are normal or legit.
And these are also people who, by the way, have never read a comic book in their life. Those are the ones who are getting the angriest about.
I'm sure like there's a guy who does a YouTube video who's within our age group, maybe younger, slightly younger. I will not mention his name, but he's got a beard. I think you'll know who I'm talking about.
I'm not sure. Like I avoid most of those grifters because it's all a fucking grift. That's all it is.
Who probably I know has tweeted about it's woke, go broke bullshit.
Yeah.
And again, yes, certain things, but this is again big whoop. He goes for both. I mean, honest to God, in 20 years, in 30 years, people are gonna look back at the criticism of this and realize how fucking retarded it's like. It's like people who say, "Oh my God," people used to criticize people of different racial backgrounds dating. It's a
okay. So
all right,
that's enough about that. But right. I wanted to also quickly talk about. Have you seen some of the DC fandom stuff that came out today?
No.
Oh, sorry. So they've had a trailer for a new trailer for the Batman. They had some story trailers for the Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights games that are coming out next year.
That Suicide Squad game looks interesting. I remember the first trailer is hilarious.
Yeah. And it's more of that in there. And then there's also a sneak peek at the Flash movie where we have so it's you know about the Flash movie. Michael Keaton's coming back as Batman.
Oh, that's really happening?
That's really happening. Yeah.
I thought that was bullshit.
No. That's been filming. Yeah, they're still in production. So yeah, in this teaser they have they show Ezra Miller's back as the Flash, and they show him in his new costume. We get a peek at Sasha Cale as Supergirl in one of the scenes, and we don't see Michael Keaton in the trailer. We see his mask, like we see the back of his head, and we see his costume, but we don't actually see him. But he's doing a voiceover though.
What about the TV Flash? Does that get any?
Yeah, he's still in. In fact, he's getting a costume change. They're finally giving him the yellow boots. That's been the only thing missing from his costume. So they're finally giving him the yellow boots.
From the TV, so the TV Flash guy is going to be in the movie as well?
No, he's not going to be in the movie. But they did meet in. You saw Crisis on Infinite Earths, right?
I am so behind on that.
Oh wow! because
You
they
gotta
had
forgive
a
me.
they had a scene where Ezra Miller appeared in and he met Grant Gustin's Flash.
I gotta still catch up.
So yeah,
man.
so
I'm
they're both
sorry.
in the same multiverse, and of course in this one Barry does something to the timeline here, and that's how he ends up in the Tim Burton Michael Keaton universe. And so that's where that's how Michael Keaton's getting involved in it too. And apparently Ben Affleck's in it as well. So this will be interesting to see. But the new Flash suit looks really good. And also related to what we're talking about today, they had a brief teaser of Black Adam with The Rock.
That's a good follow-up to what we're going to talk about, by the way.
Yeah. And also they had a brief behind the scenes look and some in production stuff of Shazam: Fury of the Gods, which apparently it's going to have Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu are playing the villains in that.
I wonder what characters they're playing.
They're playing two of the goddesses. One is Calypso, and another one was, they didn't say her name, but they had it written on it. I can't remember I don't know how to pronounce it. So, but Calypso was one of them. I think Lucy Liu's playing Calypso, and then Helen Mirren's playing the other one. It starts with an H, I think.
Okay. Because I'll tell you, in Black Adam is in that same universe as Shazam, right? I mean,
yeah. In fact, they have in Shazam, which we're talking about today. There's one scene where the Wizard talks about, his first champion and shows the image of it, and it's modeled after Black Adam, and it's modeled after Dwayne Johnson, and Dwayne Johnson was a producer on Shazam.
Yeah, it's I had a lot of fun watching that film.
Yeah, so let's jump into it. Right, we're talking about Shazam today, which so what's your, before we jump into the movie, what kind of familiarity do you have with the character?
Okay, and again, this will probably be sound dumb, but I was more of a Superman guy, and I always had a problem with. I always thought that Shazam was like a cheap knockoff, or not a knockoff, but like if you couldn't afford A, you could B, like a brand X or whatever you want to call it, right? And so, like the costume, just I don't know. That may sound shallow. Okay, forgive me, because I think I told you the tablecloth story, right? Where we had a tablecloth that looked exactly like that cape, and God damn it, every time I saw that superhero, I'm like, holy shit, there's my table right there. It's just missing ketchup stain, or it's, some other shit like it. So I couldn't take him seriously. And you know what? I wasn't the only one in my neighborhood. We either picked up Batman, Superman, the prime, the Premier League, you could say, of superheroes. Of course, your Marvel stuff. And how we knew Shazam wasn't popular was my comic book store, Atlas Comics on Cumberland Avenue. I don't know if it's still there.
I don't think so.
But it's on Cumberland and Harlem, I want to say. Anyways, when at the end of 2 weeks, he would always bundle comics he couldn't sell. Now, I was always under the impression you got to send them back to the publisher or something like that. But anyways, he would bundle them in these little baggies, and it'd be like Shazam all the time. 99% of the time it was Shazam, some Archie spinoff that nobody ever bought. Like Veronica Goes to Delaware, some shit like that. A Popeye comic book, leftover G.I. Joe comic books. Even though those were good, I like Larry Hama's writing. He was pretty good in that.
Oh yeah, those are really well. Even to this day now, people are always talking. I haven't read them, but I see them on sale every now and then on comics.
Oh, do yourself a favor. You can get an anthology. You're gonna love them. I think you're gonna love them. So he would always have these, or he'd have some that you never heard of, or one like stuff that just didn't sell. But God damn it, you knew there was going to be a Shazam in there, and so you would get for $3 these like 20 comic books. And so that's how I would read them. Was I would wait till the $20. I mean, it's 20 comic book for $3. You're not going to pass that up, So that's how I was like, okay, you didn't take him seriously, like so that's it. That's the only basic thing. And then, of course, he went by a different name. He didn't call him Shazam. They
Right.
called
He
him
was,
Captain Marvel.
yeah. So this is because you know, you're more familiar with the character than I am because I've never really. You say he was a Superman knockoff, so bit of a history lesson for anyone who doesn't
Yeah.
know. He was a Superman knockoff. That was
Yeah, Fawcett Comics.
yeah, exactly. That was Fawcett Comics was making their own version of Superman, basically, and so much so that DC sued them, and so they had to eventually stop. They sued him, and then Fawcett had to stop publishing the character. And then later on, DC bought out Fawcett Comics or bought the
Yeah.
rights to the character, one or the other. But by that point, the Captain Marvel name had already been because the trademark had lapsed, right? And you know, Marvel by that point, they're like, oh, well, you know, we're Marvel Comics. Of course, we got to have a Captain Marvel.
We would be stupid not to pick this up.
So they snapped up the trademark, and
Yeah.
and then that's when they released their Captain Marvel, Marvel, and then they after that they DC decided they bought the rights, they got the rights all settled, and they wanted to publish, you know, a new Captain Marvel comic book. They couldn't call it Captain Marvel though, and they couldn't call the character Captain Marvel in any of the merchandising or anything. So the comic book was called Power of Shazam, I believe, and like the character in other like in toys and stuff like that. That was my first exposure to the character was, you know, seeing like the old DC superheroes collection, and they had a Captain Marvel figure, but it was called Shazam. So I was actually confused when I found people calling him, when I started reading comics and I found people calling him Captain Marvel. I'm like, I thought the guy's name was Shazam. What is this?
Well, not only that, I mean, and the funny part is Captain Marvel or Shazam had actually culturally traveled. I mean, he's the only superhero to quote unquote make an appearance on the Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah.
You know, when Gomer Pyle, what was his catchphrase? He loved reading Captain Marvel when he would hang out at Floyd the barber's shop, and his trademark was Shazam. You know, he would say that.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, so I mean, there is the guy. I mean, yes, he's a knockoff with a tablecloth cape, but I mean, he did have a following. Let's be honest here.
Oh, he did, yeah.
You know, he wasn't. You know, he's not like some of these superheroes that come and go you never hear from again. That they came up, and let's be honest, back then in the 40s, they were pumping out all sorts of lookalikes. You know, and out of all the Superman knockoffs, he survived.
Yeah, and he was. He had a serial too. There was a serial in the 40s. There was a TV show I just found out in the 70s as well.
Yes.
A live action TV show, which it's like according to IMDb, it ran from 74 to 77. But in the reviews, they said it was only 2 seasons. So I'm guessing that, you know, there was probably a gap between seasons or something.
You know what? It's sort of like I don't know if you can get Turner Classic Movies.
I got through. They got some stuff on HBO Max.
Okay. Turner Classic has been producing or releasing the original Batman series.
Oh,
and I don't mean the one from the 60s.
Oh, you mean the original serials?
I mean the original serials.
Okay.
And if you look on IMDb, it's the same thing. They were sporadic. Of course, this Batman's incredibly racist, but
yeah, I heard about that.
By this standards, I mean, it just wouldn't fly. But I mean, the same thing. And the same thing you saw with the Spider-Man series in the 70s. It's like in the 1970s, they were trying all sorts of superhero stuff. You know, you see, have you ever seen the 1970s Spider-Man show?
Oh God, yeah. The Nicholas Hammond one, yeah. The one that even Stan Lee hated, and Stan Lee never publicly hated anything Marvel. In the and I never really got the appeal of the character Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
right? He just, you know, I know they talk about Superman being a Boy Scout, but this kid was just like way too wholesome, and so like I just never really. And just like the you know the holy moly stuff and like and all that kind of stuff, and it just like it was so archaic, and it just seemed really cheesy.
It's like when they decided to produce it, they say, okay, we're going to make something that so goes over beyond what the comics board would approve to make it so safe. You know, because apparently Superman is edgy for some reason, even though he's not. I mean, he's about as edgy is I don't know, something flat. You know, he's about as edgy as a stick of butter. You know, unless you want to count bisexual Superman now. You know, which apparently that's like, one of the signs of the impending end of life on Earth. Bring on
Yeah.
the asteroid, But yeah, I agree with you, and it's one of the things. And when I used to pick up those bags of 20 comics for
Mhm.
$3, you know, that Billy Batson always, who was a Boy Scout at one
Mhm.
point. He was no swearing. And the bad guys, I think they were more tamer
Mhm.
than the bad guys in the 1960s Batman show.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like Dr. Savannah, he's obviously a rip off of a couple of other people. And what's funny is um Dr. Savannah got ripped off.
Oh really?
And he looks like, well, he was one of the inspirations for a couple of other characters too, from Johnny Quest as well. If you watch Venture Brothers,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Dr. Z,
Mhm.
look at the Dr. Savannah, and look at Dr. Z.
Well, and that was the whole thing about the Venture Brothers, right? They were ripping off Johnny Quest.
Yeah,
So
but they,
yeah.
yeah, and of course there were characters in that and Johnny Quest that looked like Dr. Savannah. So
Right,
I mean,
right.
it could just be, because I know Johnny Quest came after,
I believe so, yeah. No, yeah,
after,
because
but
it had to because Johnny Quest
yeah,
came out on TV
right,
and
and
Captain Marvel
so
came predates that. So yeah.
but it's just that if you ever pick up an old Shazam or Captain Marvel comic, it's
Mhm.
like 10 pages in, you know how it's going to end.
Mhm.
It's like an M. Night Shyamalan movie, you know? Okay, there's the fucking twist.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can go home now. I should have waited till this thing was on HBO.
And then during the New 52, they decided they were gonna reboot him, and they did it in a backups of Justice League, and Jeff Johns was doing the stories, and he made him. This is when they officially changed his name to Shazam. Was in the New 52, um, and this pissed off a lot of people.
I
Like
bet.
a lot of fans got really pissed off about the fact they were changing his name to Shazam. Me personally, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it actually made a lot of sense. I thought it was, long past time.
Let's be honest. Most people familiar with the character, as you have aptly shown,
Mhm.
figured his name was Shazam,
Yeah,
like when you saw the action figures.
right, exactly. So that didn't bother me at all, but a lot of people got pissed off at it. Another thing they didn't like about this new version was Billy Batson was made to be an asshole, right? He was a little prick in this new comic, and people got pissed off about that. But this movie, I think, and here's where we jump into the movie finally after all this lead in. But I think what the movie did really well was it found a balance, right? This
Yes,
is not
yes.
the golly gee whiz Billy Batson, Boy Scout of the comics, of the early comics, but he's not like the little shit from the reboot. He's like this. He's a regular kid.
He is a regular kid. And if you look at the development of the last version of the film, the one everybody saw, what they wanted to go with, Adam Sandberg, not Adam Sandberg, Peter Sandberg, right?
Mhm.
That was the director.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. He basically said he wanted to create Big, the movie Big, with Tom Hanks is
Yes.
Big, with superpower. And you know
David
what?
Sandberg. David
David
Sandberg.
Sandberg. Excuse me, forgive me. Yeah, I know he made the one of those horror movies anthology before that. I
Yeah,
don't even know.
he did one of I think the Annabelle movies, or at least
Yeah,
one of them.
that's what I know him from. But um, he made essentially uh let's be honest, it's so easy to make a kid a smartass, a
Mhm.
punk, whatever. And it's almost to the point that it's a trope,
Right, right.
you know. And God knows the other way around is a trope too, I guess.
Mhm.
But it's rarely done. But you saw this going back with, I hate to say, but the creation of Bart Simpson.
Mhm.
If you go back to the 90s, so suddenly every kid's got to be a prick.
Well, yeah, and then
When
you
it,
also had the smart ass kid sidekick, which was all over the
right.
place in the 80s. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so, this, like I said, it's a good medium because it's the most realistic.
Mhm.
Let's be honest. How many people kid wise, when you were a kid or whatever,
Mhm.
they were like the new Billy Batson,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and, none. I mean, very few. And if you did, they sure as shit were not going to be qualified to be Shazam
No, no.
based
Yeah.
off of based off of what the requirements are. Uh, but at the same time, this Billy Batson, I don't want to say he's broken because that's not the right word, but
Mhm.
he is damaged in a way
Yeah, yeah.
because when they showed him as a young boy, spoiler alert. So in case anybody hasn't seen the film yet, we're gonna be doing a lot of spoilers here.
Yeah.
Fair warning been issued. Um, they show him when he's like 7, right, or 6,
Something like that
and
when he was a little kid, basically.
right, with his mother,
Mhm.
and they're at a carnival, and she's trying to get in the, and you could tell the mother's under stress. Just
Yeah.
the way she's talking, and she's trying, and you see this with a lot of, and she's a teenage mother.
Mhm.
It's quite obvious, from the start out. At least the actress, or at least the struggling mom, she probably was older than a teenager when they filmed that, obviously.
Right, yeah.
But you get what they were going with immediately there. And the boy gets lost because apparently he wins a prize, or the mother wins a prize. It wasn't a stuffed tiger doll, but it
Mhm.
was a little ball compass.
Yeah.
And she's walking with the mother, and gets lost because it's a crowded amusement park.
Mhm.
Because he drops the little toy, or the toy gets out of his hand, or the compass. So he finds it. He goes looking for his mom. He can't find the mom, and the cops. Now, the reason why we're bringing this up is because you start asking yourself a question, because the movie obviously jumps forward a few years later,
Mhm.
when he's doing that prank with the cops, which I gotta say was pretty goddamn clever.
Well, that
I
was
mean,
great too because that he was pretending to be the original Billy Batson in that too, right?
yeah, right. Like, okay, you know where he go to. You
Mhm.
know, he's not a criminal. He could have stole something from the pawn shop, but he didn't. He just set off the alarm. I mean, the biggest act of thievery he does is stealing that guy's cheesesteak sandwich.
Right, which was a great moment.
Yeah, which hey, a free Geno's cheesesteak, I'll jump at it too.
And you know
You
what?
know.
That cop probably beat someone already, so fuck
Oh
him.
yeah, he had it coming. Let me see this. One way or another, that cop had it coming.
Yeah.
So anyways, um, so he's been through the system. You can see right
Mhm.
off the bat, he's a little bit disheveled, but he's got. I mean, he's got that little orphan, not that look on him. You know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about.
Right.
But at the same time, if this gone to a different director, this took place, say, 1998, Hollywood would have done what Hollywood have done, probably make him more edgy, make him a goth, make him
Mhm.
or not a goth, maybe something with, like, oh, we got a spiky hair, and
Right,
they'll
right,
give him
right.
a skateboard or something, like Bart Simpson him up. So,
Well, I think that's
that's
what
not
this movie did a really good job of, and I think big is, a really good thing to point to because this is a really creative way to do the superhero. And this is what Marvel and DC is now finally getting this story, but this is what Marvel figured out was you don't just make superhero movies. You make genre films with superheroes.
right. There's a
And
difference.
yeah, and
There's a
that's what
difference.
and so like that's what the best MCU films have been, right? You have Winter Soldier is a political thriller with superheroes. Guardians of the Galaxy is space opera with superheroes. Ant-Man is a caper film with superheroes. The new Spider-Man movies, they're basically John Hughes high school movies with
Yes,
superheroes.
that's
And
correct.
they've cracked this formula. And now DC is finally starting to get on with it, right? They got
Right.
so Wonder
They've
Woman
got
was a World War One picture with a superhero in it.
That's right.
Um,
1984 was well,
no, that was a
but
different story, but
yeah, but
but
yes,
this one they figured like, okay, well, you know what, we've got a kid who transforms into a superhero, which is every kid's dream, right? So this is like
right.
wish fulfillment.
Look
And
at what
so
they did when they first become superheroes. They try to get a beer,
exactly, yeah.
and then they find out they don't like beer. It tastes like vomit. The guy says,
It was
"Where do they go?" So what do they get? They don't get cigarettes because they could have.
Mhm.
They went and got Fritos, Doritos, a lot of soda, all that stuff. And you're right. It's like I said, it's a fun movie. I'm glad to see DC and Warner Brothers finally realize you don't have to make a dark movie. You don't have
Right,
to make it edgy. Not everything can be like fucking Batman.
right.
Okay. Superman. That was the problem, I think with some of the Superman movies is they started to go in one direction that
Yeah,
just didn't fit for Superman. Let's be
exactly.
honest.
Yeah.
And you saw this with Wonder Woman. You saw this with Aquaman. You saw this with they realized, okay, it's something different.
Mhm.
And in a way, and I know Tim Gunn did the Suicide Squad,
James
and it's
Gunn.
like James Gunn.
Tim Gunn's the Project One Runway
The
guy.
project. Oh my God! You see, folks, I'm terrible with names. Okay, and this is what my advice to you: never take too much coffee before starting to take. So, anyways, so Mr. Gunn, made the Suicide Squad,
Mhm.
and that the later version. It was a fun movie. It was like Guardians of the Galaxy type of fun movie,
Mhm.
and this was in that same, in my opinion. I could be, you could may want to disagree with me, but to me, I got the same vibe, the
Definitely,
same.
yeah.
I mean, not one for one, but it was a fun movie. There was like you laughed. There was actual funny things when he's doing the selfies,
Mhm.
when he's up like when he's trying to learn how to parse, or when his sidekick says, "Okay, we're gonna see if you can turn invisible, hide in the box," and he actually sets him on fire. You know, I mean, shit like that. I mean, it's fun. It's sort of like, and of course, they got rid of all the brooding colors. You
Mhm.
know, it's interesting because if you look up the production for this movie, the one with for the previous version of this with Dwayne Johnson,
Mhm.
Dwayne Johnson, The Rock was supposed to either become Shazam or Black Adam.
Yeah, he had asked his fans which one he'd want them to play, which one
Yeah,
they wanted him to
one of
play, and
those
he
two roles.
and all of them, overwhelmingly voted. Well, I mean, that was kind of like a joke poll, I think, because I mean,
Either way,
he's been like the top fan casting for Black Adam since forever.
right. So, but the thing is, if you look into that,
Mhm.
they were going to go for a darker version of that movie.
In fact, that was
And
one of they originally wanted to do this when it left when New Line got bought out because they had the
right,
rights for a while. They wanted to make it darker to make it more like because of the success of the Dark Knight.
right.
And thank God this movie came about after Batman v Superman tanked because then Warner Brothers realized well, maybe we shouldn't do this kind of bullshit anymore.
Right, exactly. And so, and I most likely if they'd done it that way, you would have had that edgier Bart Simpson like
Mm-hmm.
Bailey Batson. And the movie probably would have taken because if you look even back to the comic books, forget the kid saying golly gee for one
Mm-hmm.
fucking moment. If you look at them, they're much lighter.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, even the bad guy. I mean, I'll honestly like if you in the movie sort of reflected the funness of this
Mm-hmm.
in a way. Though I mean, honestly, the only closest R rated or the most darkest point in that movie really is only in the beginning when Dr. Savannah kills off his brother and his father.
Right.
That's it. Guy gets thrown out of a building
Mm-hmm.
and monsters eat the head off a corporate guy. And I don't know what greed did to his father in the wheelchair, but you know,
But
but
yeah,
that's it.
and that capturing that, that striking that balance, it makes it so it's. And I realized this when because a few episodes ago we did the Power Rangers movie, the one from the mid '90s, which is just completely over the top and cheesy and ridiculous. But something like this, it strikes a right balance. So like it's
Yeah.
got that lighthearted tone, but it's still serious enough where you can take it seriously.
And the humor points, they always have, like, for example, I notice this in either a good show or a good movie. There would always be what I'll call this reoccurring joke character. I know there's
Mhm,
another name for it. Like if you ever watched the Lucifer TV series,
mhm,
there was this African American robber
mhm.
who every time the devil fucks him over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In a funny way. Um, and in other movies, like in this movie, it was the Santa Claus.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, whether it was at the shopping mall or at the carnival, this, and then of course I got a kick out of towards when the reporter at the end interviews him, and he goes, "This was fucked up," and they bleeped him out. You
Well, I also
know,
got a kick out of Darla and her superhero guys when she's
yeah,
taken telling him like, my name is Darla and I've been really good this year.
Yeah,
That was another thing that these actors did really well is they really made you feel that they were actually kids in adult bodies.
Yes, you knew they were kids.
And I think they had Zachary Levi was the perfect choice for Shazam because of that. Because you completely bought the idea that this guy is really a kid.
Yes. And like you said earlier in the podcast, this movie is the perfect epitome of every young boy and girl who wanted to grow up to be a superhero.
Right.
And and not only that, it respected that.
Yeah.
That you wanted to grow up, and it respected that it didn't spoon feed you shit. It knew that you knew these things, and it did that through when Freddy, that was the brother's name, right?
Yeah.
Freddy would talk about this guy's got to be this type of villain, or where's the superhero things that you and I and anybody else would recognize. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
the superhero things.
Well, because everybody who grew up as a fan of superheroes, we had those conversations, those exact same conversations.
And now they're taking it. I don't want to. They're saying to Sims, okay, now that it's really happening. Oh my God, we got to take this seriously. What do we do? But about this stuff, and it says, I mean, the movie basically transported you, Perry, or me, or any of our listeners, back when we were kids, and we would say to ourselves, "What if this happened to us?"
Exactly. Yeah.
What if this happened?
Yeah, and that was the brilliance of this movie. I think it, and yeah, it's got some. There's some. It's not the greatest movie, but it's so much fun. And I think that's really
a fun movie.
That's probably the best thing I can say about the movie is that it is so much fun watching it.
You know what, this movie, I'll tell you, and you may disagree with me, but the same fun vibe I got with this is the same one I got when I used to watch Big Trouble in Little China.
No, I can see that. Yeah.
That movie did not take itself seriously.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And this movie, on a certain level, winked at you.
Yeah.
Okay. Come along for the fun of this. And let's be honest, that movie touched on every person who liked superheroes and comics. They knew what we went through. Always some jerk in our life. That's why when those bullies got the suitcase wedgie, remember when they were rescued from the Ferris wheel?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And let's be honest, when you were a kid, it would have been cool to sit with Superman or some superhero to validate, yourself. And so I'm sort of looking forward to the sequel.
I am too.
The only thing I can't figure out, and by the way, I loved it. You're going to disagree with me, but I thought it was freaking hilarious. The Elder Wizard, played by, I can't pronounce his name.
Oh, Jimon Honso.
Yeah, he was in Gladiator. I know that.
You know what's funny too is that he was in both the Captain Marvel movies. Now he was in Marvel's Captain Marvel because he played Korath in that one, and then he was in DC's Captain Marvel playing Shazam.
Right, and you know what? The way he reacts to the other person, like, you're not qualified. Like he thought he was qualified. Like, but it was a little not over the top, but it was like you just can't. Like when Billy Batson, when he's told how to get the power, grab my staff, and he's like, what? Take my staff. Okay. And then they're like, say the magic word. And what's the magic word? And, come on. If you were a kid, right? And some wizard said, this is the magic word. And let's be honest, that word is fucking ridiculous to begin with.
Yeah.
Shazam. And he laughed. We would have laughed. We would have laughed. That's the thing. It's goofy, but it takes how we would have been there with respect.
We also like how they don't settle on a name, because that's what a kid superhero would do. They'd run through a bunch of different names.
Captain Sparkle Thunder, Captain Red Cyclone. And I like to know that's not my name. No, that's not. Or how about when he's trying to save that one woman and she gives him money thinking she's being mugged?
Yeah. And they also have a direct reference to Big in the toy store when he's on the piano. Did you catch that during the fight with Savannah? Oh
my God. I like that. I'll tell you, just like I said, it's got these quirky humor parts,
Mhm.
and that it also at the same time makes fun of comic books in one way. And I'll give you one of the best examples. Savannah is on one end and he's saying what he's going to do to Shazam, what he's going to do. He's threatening him. And Shazam's on way on the other side and he can't hear him.
Yeah.
What? Huh? Oh, I just, but, Savannah doesn't realize that nobody can hear him,
Mhm.
so I thought that was hilarious.
It was great, yeah. And it's this movie, and it's a little like Deadpool in that way, where it kind of
Yes.
it skirts the line because there's a very fine line between parody and like poking fun, and it
Winks
just
at
stays
you.
right on that line, and it never
Right.
crosses over.
Right. It winks at you like, hey, you're just coming along. It's like
Mhm.
coming along for the fun here. We're gonna have a good time. This is what the movie said. We're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. I just can't figure out the caterpillar.
Oh, that's what's his name, Mr. Mind. He's one of the Captain Marvel villains.
Oh, okay. Was he? Because because that it always got me like. You would think that the wizard would have destroyed him. Like, he's right there,
Mhm.
but he wasn't aware of him or what?
Yeah, he's one of Captain Marvel's regular primary villains. And just like that, he's a 2-inch alien worm. And then he usually used his plans through with the Monster Society of Evil. And he's appeared in he's appeared in the DC stuff in Power of Shazam, and he appeared in the New 52 stuff as well.
Okay, because I'm not familiar with him. The other question I had was the doors in the
Mhm.
movie. Now, I know they open these lots of different places. Are like the different planets, different parallel universes? Because like the open one is like alligators playing cards, and then they
I'd
come
imagine
after.
so. That's what it was supposed to mean. It was like
You know,
it was connecting to the multiverse.
okay, because I was wondering, I'm like, what the hell? These other villains I don't know about, or what,
Mhm.
Because I'm not super familiar with the character. I'm like, right? Am I missing out on something here?
Well, you're more familiar with than I am because I've never read any of the comics. So
Well, apparently you're gonna become more familiar because apparently this is a staying thing. They've
Mhm.
got something here.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be because I was not expecting to like this film as much as I did. I thought, okay, the trailer when I heard about it, I'm like, I never cared about Shazam. I don't know about this one, but when I saw the first trailer, I'm like, oh, that looks pretty good. I think I'll watch that when it comes out on video. And I can't remember if we had seen it because my wife had wanted to see it because she had seen the trailer and she's like, oh, I really want to see. And she's actually seen it more than me since it came out on video. Like she's watched it more time. I've watched it maybe 3 times. I think she's watched it like 4 or 5 times.
Wow. Well, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. It could be one of those movies that like once a year you want to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I could definitely see that. Like I'll watch like it's October and I'm going to be watching that movie I mentioned before, Big Trouble in Little China.
Right.
Always around October, November. I love watching that movie.
Mhm.
It's not a horror movie, but it's a goofy movie. And it's
Yeah.
got all sorts of stupid shit in there.
I also wanted to, one more thing. I want to talk about the foster parents. I thought were really good too.
Yes.
Marta Milans and Cooper Andrews. I thought they did a really good job. I thought
they did
were
a fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you familiar? Cooper's the father, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Victor Vasquez.
Now you know where I saw him from. Maybe you watched the show or not. He was in The Walking Dead.
Oh, that's where I recognize him from.
Yeah, he's one of the Guardians, one of the good guys.
Okay, I was looking at him. And I'm like, where have I seen this guy before?
Yeah, I have, and I know I've seen him one other place, but I know I'm more familiar with from him in The Walking Dead, and I know something about. He's a great actor in that show, and when I saw him on, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm in for with this guy because he kind of plays the same type of character, which is a fun-loving guy. I mean, look at The Walking Dead is a depressing show as shit.
Yeah, okay? That's why I haven't finished watching it.
But when he's on there, it's like a big teddy bear, and he's like, yeah, okay. I mean, I don't want to say he lightens it up, but he lightens it up.
He was also in. Looks like he was on an episode of Hawaii Five-O. That may have been the other place where I've seen him before, because I've seen a bunch of
That's where
those
I seen him.
episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, I know he gets around, but so that's great to see. I'm not familiar with the mother though.
No,
You
I
know,
don't think I've ever seen her in anything before.
in fact, out of the actors, the only other ones I'm familiar with is Freddie, because he's in a show I just saw where he plays an army brat. Shit, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the actors. I mean, obviously we all know who Levi was, and we know who Mark Strong is,
Mhm.
and we know who the one that played the father, the bad guy is.
Yeah, John Glover. It was,
Yeah.
this is like he's been in so many like small DC stuff. Like he was,
Yes.
you know, he was Lionel Luthor on Smallville. He was what's his name? Jason Woodrue in Batman and Robin. He did the voice in some of the animated stuff as well.
He's also in The Walking Dead. I hate to bring up
John Glover, really?
He's in The Walking. Well, he's on. No, let me rephrase that. He was on Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
And which is becoming the flagship show. I mean, not to turn this into that podcast or that, but yeah, he plays a very. I swear to God, he plays a character that honestly would have fit more in a DC universe than The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
He played like a mad scientist type of guy, or mortuary. Anyway, I'm not.
I mean, he's such an underrated actor. Like, even,
do you remember? The first movie I saw him in was Gremlins 2.
I was gonna say Gremlins 2. Yeah, he was brilliant in that.
Yeah, Gremlins 2, where obviously he's a parody of Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, a lot of those. The only one I'm familiar with.
Well, also he was in this really good show. It only lasted for one season, called Brimstone. It was in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And he played the devil on that. And that was where I really remember him from. That's where I first became really familiar with him.
Well, he's a good actor. I
like
him.
Yeah, it was nice seeing him even in just like this small role.
Well, I'll tell you, I always look forward to seeing him in something. The other actor, like I said, I know who the kid who played Freddy, because he's in a show where he plays an army brat.
Oh, okay.
Called One of Us or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's on HBO, I think. And I mean, I don't watch the show, but I just saw an ad. Right? I remember. I think I saw one episode. Yeah, I did see one episode. Anyways, there's that. I'm familiar with. Of course, we know Mark Strong is. So everybody knows him.
Yeah.
And obviously Levi. And the little Chinese boy, the little Asian, because he's in
Ian Chen.
Ian Chen, thank you. God, I'm terrible with names. Ian Chen plays a smart little younger brother in Off the Boat, that ABC show, that Asian comedy.
Fresh Off the Boat.
Fresh Off the Boat, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
He plays in that. And I'm not familiar with the other ones, the girl or the other ones. So.
But, and the guy who plays Freddy, Jack Dylan Grazer, he was also in It.
Okay, see, I didn't even saw It.
It was pretty good.
And
then Faith Herman, she played Darla. She was in Watchmen. She played young Angela in the Watchmen TV show.
Okay, well there you go. Holy shit, these guys really are in a superhero little network there.
Yeah,
cinema.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, again, I'm curious. Obviously the sequel is going to be like the Marvel family, though I don't think they can call it the Marvel family. I don't know.
No, I think they're officially called the Shazam family now.
The Shazam family. So that's coming.
It'll be interesting. I'm not sure what they're doing with their names because
they can't say Miss Marvel. They can't say,
Well, yeah, because Mary she was Mary Marvel in the comics.
Yeah.
I think she's now Lady Shazam, if I'm not mistaken.
Lady Shazam, yeah.
And then, in the comics, Freddy's superhero identity was Captain Marvel Jr. And then he changed that to CM3 in the 90s. And then I think now he's just Shazam Jr. I'm not sure. And, Darla and Eugene and Pedro, they've appeared in their superhero identities in the comics, but they haven't had names for them. And in the credits too, none of them have names, right? It's all just superhero Freddy, superhero Mary.
Well, I know what the movie comes out in 2022, right?
I believe so.
Well, that's we gotta definitely cover that, Perry.
Mhm.
We definitely gotta cover that.
Well, yeah, they look like they're going to be from because I told you they had the preview at Fandom, and they had some shots of their new lair, right? The wizard's
The Seven
cave.
Wizards, yeah.
Yeah, and it's and they have like they have like lair painted on it and stuff like that. So and they said that they're going to be exploring them, now that they're a superhero family. So it's not like they're just shuffling these characters off to the side or finding some excuse for why they can't be in the movie or something. It looks like they're still
Oh no,
going to
they're
be
gonna
leaning into
include
that.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna include them, and they should because they add to it. I mean, if it's just one character, that could get old very fast.
Mhm.
Because let's be honest, he's a cool character the way they got him now. Don't get me wrong. And I'm sure on some level you could just make it him, but they just add to it.
They
You
do,
know,
yeah.
and now that they know his identity, it would be
Mhm.
stupid not to.
And it's in some ways the family dynamic stuff felt a little bit forced, but their interaction was good enough that I was able to look past it.
And I'll tell you, making them all foster kids,
Mhm.
that really helped a lot.
That came from the comics, I believe.
It
That
did.
from the
I
new
don't
50
remem-
from the reboot, the new 52 reboot.
Oh, okay. I have not read any of the new 52. I have not. Huh. Well, good. Okay, because it would make a lot more sense because, it's just. Well, anyways,
Mhm.
bottom line, it's a fun movie.
Yeah. What do you think of Mark Strong as Dr. Savannah? Because that's the one thing we haven't talked about yet.
Okay. Honestly, I thought. I mean, 'cause I'm not familiar with Dr. Savannah's character too much, except for the fact what I told you about the Johnny Quest thing.
Right.
He's always played a character that's always been. I don't want to say cold. Yeah, cold's the right word.
Mhm.
Not too stiff. I've seen his character like in the Long Midnight Sun series.
Mhm.
I don't know if you ever saw that.
Mhm.
He plays a police detective. There is a show where he played a gangster, same type of character.
Okay.
But I thought, and I'm pretty sure his family didn't support him for setting up that research. I think,
Mhm.
right? Is that right?
I assume so. Yeah, it seemed like it was something being done off the books.
Off the books, and I just thought that I know he hated his family, the character,
Mhm.
but I don't know if I would have gone and done that off the bat immediately because he's basically destroyed
Mhm.
the company in a way. You gotta replace all those people. But as for the actor, I think he did a good job.
Yeah,
I think he did a good job.
it's nice to see him actually finally get the chance to actually play a DC villain because he was Sinestro in Green Lantern, who was supposed to be the villain he was supposed to be going to be the villain in Green Lantern 2, which never ended up happening. So it's nice that he got another chance, and this time he was playing in Savannah. And I thought he did a good job. He was, sufficiently menacing.
Oh, he was definitely menacing.
Yeah.
No, there's no question. It's sort of, it's funny when he shows up and the way Mark Strong played him, and when Shazam or the child realizes the threat and the look he managed to convey, you're gonna laugh. But there's a YouTube video, reminded me of a YouTube video. If you can Google it, Russian chess. Okay, where this little kid, 5 years old, he's a Russian chess master in a way, and he's on this Russian game show. And he's defeating these people. So then he's gonna go up against his final challenger. And the final challenger, the host said, is not me. And they bring out the real challenger, and it was the national chess champion. And look at that little kid's face, he freaked out. And that music, I'm realizing now they ripped off from Shazam because I realized they played the same music, and I'm like, oh my God. And the look on the kid's face is the same thing. And you could tell Strong basically put off the impression that Shazam was going after, facing a tier 1 villain in a way. He's not in the farm leagues, because let's be honest, the way Shazam was conveying and treating this guy like, oh, you're just your superpowers are so great, not so great, blah blah blah, but I can kick your ass. And then he realizes, and it's because Mark Strong gives off that impression. Like he's like a magical Terminator of a sort.
Yeah.
He was relentless hunting them down.
Yeah.
And his portrayal of that, he's got that gaze. You ever seen him do that gaze?
Yes. Yeah.
And he doesn't have to move a fucking limb.
Right.
And I've seen him do this in other shows and other movies, where he'll just lean in, look at you, tilt his head, look at you, like that evil, like the stink eye, like a really super stink eye look. So yeah, I agree with you. I thought he was very good.
Okay. So I think that about brings us to the end.
Wait.
Okay, go ahead.
There's another aspect of it, the way he portrayed him too, that was very good. And that was at the end towards his cell, when he realizes you actually see him do 3 different versions of him. Of Shazam, of his character. There is the beginning part where he's in desperation to learn about the powers, to get this stuff. When in the beginning of the movie, when he finally gets to that place, he finally rediscovers that combination of the door to take him back to where he has to go to, right? And then where he's eager, and then and like hungry, and then he gets the powers, and then it's sort of like his whole demeanor changes from hyper aggressive to like this dark sentinel, this like brooding, like I said, this magical Terminator.
Right.
And then at the end, if you go towards the end of the film, when obviously there's that he goes and he's in a jail cell and he's scribbling down all those combinations, right? How he portrays the character, it's sort of like when he goes back to the beginning, but this character, this version, knows he lost something.
Right.
And so like it's like you see this with other villains that have got this power, like Thanos or somebody, and they lose it all in the comics, and like, no, I need it back. It's like an addict.
Right. Yeah.
And he portrays that really good, that desperation. Because when he's that caterpillar starts talking to him at the end, the words, the look on his face, like, God, maybe this is my salvation. He did it very well.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that brings about to the end of the discussion about Shazam. Johnny, anything you wanted to add? Anything else? Any final thoughts about it?
I highly recommend it. I may actually purchase the movie. I don't really purchase movies anymore, but I may actually buy this one so that once a year or something. I think this is a movie I can play for my grandnephews.
Oh, definitely. I definitely think so.
I think they would like it. So if you got little ones, I think they will like it. Don't be taken it back by the monsters. Trust me, they've seen worse on TV.
Yeah. I pretty much the same things. It's not the best movie, like we said, but it's so infectiously entertaining that you don't really you are able to look past the flaws. And Zachary Levi is just perfect casting, and I love the little, even though it wasn't Henry Cavill, that's why we only see him from the neck down, right? I love that they had the little Superman cameo at the end there.
Oh, that was nice. That was nice. I too bad you're right. It would have been something. Hey, maybe he'll make an appearance in the movie. I don't know.
Well, we don't like the whole thing about.
They're in the same universe, right?
They're in the same universe. Yeah.
Okay, because I know Freddie mentions Batman and all this other stuff, but sometimes it's. So they are in the same universe.
They're in the same universe, yeah. And so the question is if Henry Cavill's coming back or not. Nobody really knows. It doesn't seem to be. There have been rumors saying that he's in talks to come back. There's rumors saying that he's not. Hopefully if he does come back, he'll get a director who actually likes Superman this time around.
I got a question for you, and I know I'm veering off here, but it is somewhat related. Do you know if there are any plans to do another like Justice League thing where Shazam would appear in it?
At the moment, not really. I mean, because I think right now they're trying to do what they should have done in the first place, which was go slow and
Right.
build up the individual characters first before you start, teaming them up together. So um, we'll see. Although Shazam's never really struck me as a big Justice League member.
Yeah, but they don't have that many to pick from.
No, but
Yeah.
they got all 7 now, so they got those.
Let's see, they got Superman, obviously.
Mhm. Superman,
got-
Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash.
Well, hold on. The
Aquaman.
Batman, is this new movie in the same universe that's coming out?
No, it doesn't look like it.
So if they were to do a Justice League,
That's the question. Well, that's one of the questions, right? They're not really sure what's going to happen going
'Cause-
forward.
watching the movie, doing a little research, somebody had pointed out that this may have been an attempt by someone in the studio, to do like a soft reboot of the whole DC universe, but not including.
No, this isn't quite like I think that's what Flash is going to be, because that's going to have like messing with the timeline and all that stuff. And Ben Affleck's supposed to appear in that as well. So we'll see like we don't know what they're going to be doing with Batman exactly going forward. I think the Matt Reeves stuff, the Robert Pattinson stuff, that's going to be in its own separate thing. So they've got the Batman coming out, and if that does well, they'll probably do like a trilogy or something with that cast. But we'll have to see what happens going forward.
Well, I'm curious too, because I know they're doing a lot of reboots, like they're rebooting Gotham.
That's not a reboot of Gotham.
What is it?
It's going to be set in the same universe as the new movie, as the Batman movie, and it's going to be an adaptation of the Gotham Central comic. So it's going to be focusing on the Gotham Police Department.
Like a Law and Order Gotham.
Basically, yeah.
Okay. I like the other show, but hey, I understand.
It was way too. It was ridiculous. It was a little bit ridiculous, I thought. Especially because like they're doing now what they should have done with the original Gotham, which is they're going to those Gotham Central comics and they're focusing on the police characters. Yeah, and
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying I like that old show. I mean, towards the end, it got goofy, like that whole Fish Mooney thing. I couldn't,
Yeah. I mean, they lost me in, I think it was the 3rd episode when they had that Balloon Man vigilante, and you had Gordon and Bullock being surprised when they find out that yes, balloons eventually do come down.
I forgot about that episode.
It was at that point, because I it was kind of ridiculous since the first episode, but when it got to that point, I was like, all right, that's it, I'm done. And eventually, I did go through and watch the whole thing, like just having like on in the background, and it was so ridiculous.
Well, like I said, I kind of liked it, but that's just me. But I can see the criticism, but I just wish there was I just like to see some more DC stuff.
Yeah, well, looks like we're going to be getting quite a bit, because we got Black Adam, which is going to have the Justice Society, and they got the stuff on TV, right? Superman and Lois is getting the 2nd season.
Is Titans in any of these universes?
Titans is in Titans and Doom Patrol are in their own universe, I believe.
Okay, so there's no relations to any of these series going on.
Other than the fact that they're in the same multiverse.
Multiverse.
So you got to watch Crisis. Because that
I am so far behind. I'm catching up, and I will get there. Promise you, I will get there.
I mean, I'd just say watch Crisis, because you don't really need to watch any of this other stuff to watch that.
Did Flash get any? Flash is still good though, right?
I'm in the middle of the most recent season on Netflix, and it's been kind of a slog.
Okay, so, I never got to the last season of Green Arrow yet. That's how far behind I
am. But Superman and Lois is amazing.
Superman and Lois. Okay.
Yeah, and that just came out on HBO Max.
I will watch that.
That is definitely worth a watch. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Johnny. Anything you wanted to promote? Anything you want to tell people to where to find you or anything like that?
Well, my Twitter handle is JB3AZ. I don't really do much right now, but I'm trying to go more on that than Facebook. I don't know, Facebook. Ever since I watched the 60 Minutes thing, I don't want to give Facebook my business, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, well, Johnny, thanks so much for coming back. It's always good to have you back on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I am. Thank you. I appreciate it, and as always, Perry, I'm here for you.
Awesome.
If you need me to do another one, Uh, okay.
Yeah,
I
and
think
anytime you want to come back, you're more than always welcome.
oh, okay.
All right, so
Okay, just tell me what to watch. I'm gonna be watching Old School. In fact, like I said, I'm playing catch up.
mhm.
To the listeners out there, life sort of got in the way, and so I was behind. So my nerd credentials are overdue, you could say. And so how I'm 2 seasons behind on Doctor Who, on a bunch of you name it, I'm behind, but I will catch up. And so if you want another perspective on stuff you've seen or covered, I'm your man. I'll be there for you on that.
Absolutely.
Same thing. Other than superheroes, don't let me know, Perry.
All right, great. Thanks again for coming on. That does it for this episode. You can find us at superherocinephiles.com, Super Cinema Pod on both Twitter and Instagram. Give us a follow there. And, join the Facebook group. Also, just search Superhero Cinephiles. And if you're interested in coming on the show, if you go to the website, there is a contact form. Just drop me a line. Let me know what you want to talk about, and we'll see about scheduling a time to come on. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. You have been listening to the Superhero Cinephiles podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Super Cinema Pod. Join our Facebook group by searching for Superhero Cinephiles, where you can interact with us and other superhero fans. If you'd like to support the show, you can become a regular supporter at Patreon or make a one-time donation through PayPal, both of which can be found at our website, superherocinephiles.com. If you buy or rent any movies through the Amazon links at our site, it helps support the show. Please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you for listening. And as always, good night, good evening. God bless.